Growing up wasn't easy. Things changed a lot at home. There were always fights. I never really knew what was going on. I remember feeling very alone. At school, things weren't much better. I felt left out a lot and worried all the time that people didn't like me. For some reason, everything got to me. By the time I was a teenager, I really didn't care about myself. I started drinking till I passed out, shoplifting. I got arrested. It was a messy time. I was hooked on the thrill of taking risks and I couldn't stop. It was a bit like being on a runaway roller coaster with no idea where I would crash. Sometimes when stuff was kicking off at home and I felt horrendous, I would self-harm. Nobody noticed at first. I wore long sleeves, did everything I could to keep it hidden. I didn't want anyone to know how I felt inside. But at the same time, I felt so let down by the people around me. Couldn't they see? I was angry, but also terrified. It seemed as though the more I wanted people there, the more I pushed them away. My life felt a bit like pushing a boulder up the hill only for it to fall back down again. It was so confusing. I thought physical pain might give me some relief from my emotions, but it didn't work. I started having suicidal thoughts and I was scared of where I was heading. It took a lot for me to speak to a friend, and she persuaded me to go to the doctors. I was terrified they would say I was crazy or lock me up. My GP referred me to a mental health team, and I told them what it felt like to be me. After a few meetings, they told me I had something called emotionally unstable personality disorder. At first, I felt relief that even if I didn't, someone else understood what was wrong with me. But then I felt angry, like I was a problem that couldn't be fixed, that the problem was me. I wasn't massively keen on the name, but when I read more about the diagnosis, things began to make sense. If you've grown up with lots of instability around you, it can affect your personality and make your emotions swing from one extreme to another really quickly. I suppose treatment has been a kind of journey towards finding more of a stable middle ground. I had dialectical behaviour therapy, or DBT, which involved therapy in a group and on my own. It seemed boring at first. I was hooked on the highs and lows, and I was a bit worried life would be dull without them. We started off with small things, getting enough sleep, eating properly. We talked about my drinking, and I learned ways to distract myself when I was feeling the urge to self-harm or do something dangerous. I guess I was given a bit of responsibility and control back. I realised I could be a bit kinder to myself. As the therapy went on, I started to feel less alone. They told me that things can and do get better. We learned to do mindfulness meditation, which was tricky at first, but really helps me chill out. With the help of my therapist, I came to see a lot of my difficulties are to do with how I respond in relationships, and that this is because of some of the things I went through with people who cared for me when I was younger. Now I know how to draw clear boundaries with others without getting so upset or angry myself. I feel much more empowered in my relationships, although it's not always easy. The bottom line is that my emotions aren't necessarily something to be avoided. They are actually telling me something quite important. I learned to stop for a moment when I felt angry or upset. I can look my emotions in the eye now. It felt so strange to be kind to myself. I spent years hating and punishing myself, and it took a long time to trust the therapists and the other people in my group. They have helped me feel as though it can be possible to get some control back. I know it may take a while to get better, but I'm starting to feel like it's worth it.